Well, hello everyone and welcome back. We're working on the detail parts that are going to go along the legs here. I decided to go for those. So I kind of measured about what length and width I wanted them. And they're going to kind of sit here. And these are those struts that kind of go up with the legs. I'm not going to put the notch in the other part of the leg here. There's supposed to be a notch. It goes like this. So as it comes down, this comes down. This had like, I guess it's supposed to be something that goes in that trench. And then as it goes up, it falls into that trench like that. I don't think you'll be able to see off the Bandai one on the camera. But there is a trench, kind of like a little cut here that goes this way, and this one will go this way, and then the top of that detail must flow with that, and then it's attached to the leg right about here. It's attached to the leg, and then it's attached to that in that groove. So what I did is I took 0.75 styrene and glued 3 of them together. Cut them all in rough pieces like this. This is just one sheet. And then stacked them all together. I made 4 per leg, so we need 4 of these. And I cut out 4 of these square rectangles per leg, glued 3 of them together, left these other ones alone, because also on that strut there is a panel that's a hair smaller. It's the same length and everything, it's just a hair smaller, has the same almost shape. So we'll cut these to shape and then glue them on there. I figured get them all nice and square-ish. They don't have to be exact, although they're coming out pretty good. But I don't know if I... see if I can get this one camera to point over to the vise. And now you can see what I'm doing. Alright, these are the done ones. Just clamping them in there. And give them a quick little file so they're level. So we got to go down to the lowest one. And then while it's even clamped in here, I'll hit it with some sandpaper. And just continue to do that. Flip it over. You got to do all 4 sides. But like I said, none of this is crucial because they're not right next to each other. So nothing has to be exact. Like if I file one a little skinnier than the other, as long as it's not massively skinny, if it's like a millimeter off, no one's going to know because they're not going to be next to each other. Otherwise, I would have just glued 3 sheets together and then cut. Them in the size that they need to be, but it's so much easier to cut styrene when you can just snap it. If I get 3 in, that's all we're doing. Alright, so we're at that point where they're close enough to be in square. Let's see if we can get this camera back to where I had it. What I gotta do is, I wish these cameras had like quick markings so I could just loosen and poop poop in different positions. That would be neat. Okay. Get these out of the way. So now we at least have square looking pieces. And like I said, it's not going to matter much. We can glue those up as best we can. You can see it's a little shorter. We can glue those up the best we can and then file the edges. go, we can even go over where we're going to clean up the edges. So we'll save those. So what I'm thinking is this piece here is almost half if it gets cut, and it kind of curves in. Kind of comes down and curves in. So I think I found out, so we'll go off of this diameter of this, which is, it might be the 1 1/8, or the 1 3/8. No, that's too big. So we'll go with the 1 1/4. That gives us the, closest diameter. And what we can do is just by eye, leave enough straight part there and bring this curve to the halfway point, and that'll break an arc, and then it should go pretty much straight down from that point. I don't think it really, it goes straight down. Now the last panel will do a little whoop here where the peg goes into the leg, because that's, I'm gonna have to peg it to the leg somehow. And I think what I'm gonna do is just glue a round rod, styrene rod, coming out that will plug into the leg, and I can just drill a hole and plug it into the leg. Bandai had like a notch here, and this had a peg with a round part and a hole so it could actually hinge it. But here, if I drill the hole a little bigger, I can make these move. I'm not going to have these move. Once this guy's placed, he's going to be placed. Because I have a whole diorama I'm going to build, a big one. I'm going to add an ATST to it. I ordered a whole bunch of tropical trees and different trees that are in 1/48 scale. The tropical ones were hard to find in 1/48, except for the real tall ones. But I also found one that had a mixture of little baby ones to in between. So they have the different growth leaves. So what we got to do here, and I got to do this quick because I have a wedding to go to, is mark these in half. And I think these are 1 centimeter in width, roughly, now that we sanded them. 9.90 millimeters, so we lost a little bit, but that's alright. This one's saying it gained, which could be with the different pieces. So we roughly gotta just, do a 0.5. And I could actually probably just scribe it with this calipers. I think it's better to scribe this way. And it doesn't be any special. It doesn't even have to be all the way up. It just has to be somewhere and about in the center. Because that should give us where I can move that. Yeah. And what I can do here to get the same up at the top is I'm seeing I can use the bottom of the, when I line that up the center of the styrene, and I'm showing about what I want up there, it's just starting to hit on this other circle down here. So that's how we'll do that. Let's see if it falls the same on this one. Yeah, that's totally what we can do. Here's our center, and we'll just make that peek through that corner. And then we should be able to just trace that. And that gives me that little arch, and just follow our scribe line. drive it the rest of the way. And that's our basic shape. But do I want to hook that end out a little where the rod is going to be? Yeah, it's still not sure at the bottom there if I should leave a little peg, but I think I'm not going to. I think I'm going to cut it off, and that's where the styrene will glue on, and then we'll use this last plate to kind of cover that styrene rod to keep it in that square edge zone. Now, how do we cut these? It might be too thick with the scissors. Yeah. So we'd probably do it with this. You know, I am going to use my vise to do it. I think that'll work. Well, it's hard to see. Let's see if we can. And I'm kind of pulling this way. I was kind of pulling this way as I was going and trying to stay shy of the line. We'll file up to the line. I'll use the barrel part of the Dremel to get that. But I can, because I got to stop this video soon because I got to get ready for a wedding. But what we'll do is at least get one in the shape, and we'll come back and we'll continue. Let's see, would this be a good, or can I get away with the big one? Ooh, we can get away with the big one. A little more coarser. I mean, I could put a coarser sand drum on there. This should do that. At least the curve is what we got to get. There we go. Got us the curve. We got to kind of make sure we're square. And then the rest of this we can just, the flat part, we can just hit with a file. Oop, we got to get more glue down there because it didn't seep through every level all the way in the center, which I kind of figured it would. Because I didn't glue each individual piece like I should have, and then stuck it together. I kind of squished them all, held them together, and just ran some of this thin glue, which does make it down pretty deep. I wish I can see this side. Let's see where we're at. Yeah, there's going to be a lot of sanding. But that looks good. And there it is. Probably be easier to see like that. Now see how it has that little those out because we'll be using them later. See how that has that little, and that will go like that. And it'll sit in there somewhere. Now, it doesn't look too long now, does it? That's the one thing. We don't want it to look weird. Oh, that's basically what this thing is. It's a big, weird looking thing here. And then when we have this other one put on there, we could probably pretty much trace what's there. You do this, but you just kind of make it a little skinnier. So I'm liking that. I guess this top part could be a little smaller. I can even chew that down, but I'm pretty happy with that. And then once this has a little tab to it, we'll shape as we go. But that's pretty much what we're gonna do. Just that times 4. And like I said, then we'll trace each pattern of the one right on top of it. We could even do that. And then glue it set back and then cut those top halves off. So there's many ways of doing it. But I think what we'll do is we'll just bring this off to about halfway of the thickness of the skinny part, and then trace it and then cut it on there. And I'll give that double look to it. Well, hello and welcome back. I started making these, so I think they're coming along. These are the parts that's going to go into their legs. I'm kind of wondering if I should put like some type of square part over it, but I might just leave them the way they are, and they'll kind of fit like that. And that'll give me that, whatever that part is called. I had to remember to make ones going, you know, to this direction and to this direction with the panel. The panel is going on pretty good. I'll show you how I did one. I did these guys already. And then we have this one. And then we're going to make the other one going the other way for the other side. Alright, so what I did is took this and just traced it onto that other piece of styrene, and then just use this to give me that little squareness down there at the bottom. Nothing has to be exact. Actually, this one's a little skinny, the panel, as it comes down here, but it's alright. So I did that and then put a new blade in. It's probably starting to get dull by now. And we'll cut this. And I'm finding you have to get at least 3 good cuts in here. And if we can get this one to break first. There we go. And it's snapping. And then I just take this file with a semi-curved, you know, half-curved area there. Just kind of smooth out any of the roughness. This one came out pretty good. So I'm alright with that. And then a little sandpaper to round the corners over. I didn't want any of the corners to have a harsh corner to them. And these, especially this inner side, it's going to be hard once it's glued down. You can't get in there. So now's the time to round them off. The other ones we're actually gonna trim. We're gonna glue it first and then trim the excess off, and then file any over spillage. All right, so this is going on like this. There, I'm liking that. Good enough. flip it over and we'll cut that excess off. And keeping those will make good for little panel squares and stuff like that. There we go. And that one's not the skinniest one. And then we got a little height here I have to get rid of. And here's where the other big excess piece. I can almost cut that off with a knife. There we go. Gives me a nicer cut. And blend it all in with the file. And I just taking some sandpaper and again rounding all the edges so they're rounding together now that we have the panel on those ends here. A little hit there because that softens it pretty good here. And if I can get this to semi go in there. There we go. I'm liking that. Then the other thing we got to do is round that. It's supposed to be more of a round. Now I'm getting more of an angle, so it doesn't really matter. That inner piece there. Yeah, it was actually pretty square that time. And then I'm just again going over the sandpaper. And then, I'm not sure what the dimensions of this tubing is. What I was doing is putting my the back of this on a line and cutting it 1 centimeter in length. I think that'll give me, come on you, really? There you go. Fit? Yeah, that fits nicer. Since this is a semi-structural point, I want to make sure I use a good adhesive, and I'll back it up with some of the extra thin. And there they are. The struts are pretty much done. We just got to drill the holes in there for them, and that would be it. And this one should be cured up pretty good. It's getting there. I got to figure whereabouts. I'm thinking right there. 30 millimeters. Now we gotta make sure we pick these legs as what they're gonna be. So always keeping the sides correctly. Alright, so this is this leg. So we're gonna come up. That's it. And the seam is alright. Yeah, because that one's that one and that one's that one. So this is front right. So as long as I'm watching out for that, or just making sure these pistons here are on the outside, we're good. Yep. And this one should be this one. Yep, and that'll fit in there. Like I said, there's a little something there. I don't get in there more, but you do have room to wiggle this if I want to position them more like that because of that leg being coming back. I want to have that wiggle room. Sweet. And then you mirror this one. Two mirror each other. And you two mirror of each other. Stick one in here and kind of look at it. Yeah. It's doing what it's supposed to be doing. And like I said, it wouldn't hurt to add that little I could just do that. That one we need a little bit of a wider one. I could do that and then take the circle template and continue that. So maybe we will try that. Just because I think that will add a little more correctness to it. Yep, tack it. There we go. Try to and what we can do, what was that, the 1.25" template if I remember correctly. continue that arch. I'm coming at it this way, so it keeps pushing against the piece that's already been glued. Hopefully I can just cut that. There it goes. There we go. That's the wonderful thing about styrene. I should just pay attention more of how things are supposed to actually look. The glue, if there's any little soft glue, the plastic, sanding powder will actually goes into the glue and starts helping it fill the gap there. And I don't even think you'll notice, but yeah, I like that better. I like that better than that. And something felt wrong, and that's what it was. So I'll continue to do that. That's just a simple quick little fix. Definitely worth it, because like I said, I do like that much better. And once the glue settles up, I can get in here with some sandpaper and start rounding off the edges, and you'll never know. Yeah, even that seam is already starting to disappear. And if not, that's okay. It can look like a little panel seam, and each one's going to have the exact same little panel seam, so added a little detail, so maybe I won't overly worry about it. But again, I thank you for watching this quick little update, and we'll be back soon. Oh boy, now that I got these holes in here, I can start actually sanding these. And I gotta sand some stuff on some putty and some, this is that surface primer on the body. The head, I think I hit everything. Main thing is that little circular thing under his chest, this thing in there. I had to fill in seams there. And then it'll be, I'm trying to think, do I want to paint? I have some detail I want to do on these blocks here. It gets a little square that's off center, and I want to see if I can at least put a little bit of a trench to give it this. See how on these upper ones there's a trench, and then there's a rectangular that's half cocked off the center of the trench. I want to give that illusion. We're not going to do the half moon trench that's in the inside of the leg here. But just to try to bring that in here, like we did these here that are simulating pretty much Allen keys heads. That's those button head Allen screws. That's what they did there, and that's pretty much any of these. And there's some that are missing still. I think that's supposed to be one, and that's how they actually bolted it together, was with Allen keys. These I know for sure are supposed to be. I think these are too on the real thing. So, but I'm rambling again. I'll see you in next update.